Everyone, Pam Jacobson, your host of Three Things You Need to Know. Welcome. This is a recorded show. I am out of town today on this Wednesday, and so I decided to drop this recording rather than miss another week. I hope all of you had a great Thanksgiving. I did, and I hope it was a safe and healthy one for you. And this week, interestingly enough, kind of good timing, we're going to be talking about nutrition. So getting us all back on track after our big Thanksgiving Day meals and preparing for the upcoming Christmas holidays. We will be, kind of talking about nutrition and the best way to plan for good, healthy nutrition in the coming weeks. So I want to start by just kind of getting everybody up to speed on where we're at, especially anybody who may be joining for the first time. This is week 17 of the Resilient series that I've been doing for some time. In the beginning, I really recommend if you're new to this show that you go back and look at the last 16 weeks. It will give you kind of a blueprint and a guideline for what we've been laying out to help you be more resilient, particularly during what is our normal flu season, on top of our continuing pandemic, and of course it being the holidays and generally speaking the most stressful time of the year for most of us. So anyway, in the last 16 weeks, I have laid out the blueprint originally, the 4 pillars, got to the middle point in our series where we moved from just information about what it takes to build a healthy, resilient foundation to becoming committed to doing it. And so for the last several weeks, we've been focused on the work, the actual work. And we started with a discussion around sleep, stress response management. Last show, I interviewed an exercise expert, Michelle Hebert. And we are turning our attention now today to nutrition. And I'm going to lay out the work for you. What do you have to do in terms of nutrition? But I want to say that there's a reason why this is the 4th pillar and not the first one, right? The first pillar is sleep. The second pillar is stress response management. And without those two, you're going to have a hard time with your nutrition, because our nutritional decision making depends on having optimized sleep where our body is repairing properly, and management of our stress on a daily basis. Because if we're in the jungle running from the lion every single day, we're going to have a really tough time making healthy, consistent dietary choices. So I want to reiterate for those of you who are joining, this program will be complete in and of itself and give you the information that you need about nutrition, but I want you to understand that your ability to implement what I talk about today will be largely dependent on the other things that I've laid out in the previous week. So I do encourage you all to review. If you don't remember that stuff, or if you're brand new, make sure you go back and take a look. So having said that, I'm going to try to keep this really basic and really simple. I think rule number 1 when it comes to being able to create a consistent, healthy, nutritional plan for yourself is that you have to set aside time each week to prep and plan. If you don't do that, you're going to have a really difficult time and probably continue the habits you have now, which are grabbing the easiest thing that you can grab, quick foods, fast foods. That's going to be a very difficult habit to break if you do not set aside a little bit of time each week to look ahead at your next week and make a plan for how you're going to implement your nutrition. So for me, that's a Sunday morning over breakfast. I look at my week ahead. I determine, how many times am I going to be cooking dinner? How many lunches do I need? Pre-COVID, that would be whether I was eating lunch out or dinner out. Nowadays, I think most of us are at home and we're doing a lot more cooking at home. So that does require some planning ahead rather than just picking up the phone and calling DoorDash or something like that. And if you're going to be doing that, at least having a pretty good idea of when you would do that and what you would be ordering. So I'm not saying that you would have to avoid your takeout delivery type of food choices. But in your prep and planning for the week, know how often that's going to happen and pre-plan for what you would be ordering from what vendor so that you can control what it is that you're consuming. So the prep and plan time frame for me is usually on a Sunday. As I said, I first look at my week ahead. I determine all of those factors. Am I eating in? Am I eating out? Am I getting takeout? And from that, I create my shopping list for all the meals that I need to make at home. And then I actually do my shopping and execute on that, right? Prepare as much ahead as I can, particularly when we return a little bit more back to normal and many of us are leaving the home to go to work and take a lunch with us. You're going to have to be planning ahead so that you have those things readily available to quickly grab and go in the morning. I'm going to have, in a couple of weeks, I'll have Coach Crystal on again. One of her main priorities with her clients is nutritional coaching, and she's a wealth of resources for how to take what I'm going to talk about today and really implement that in your life. And she's got some great ideas and tips and tricks and hacks for how to do that. Next week, I'm actually going to also interview Rebecca Chubb, who is the owner of a company called Whole Health Every Day. And they are actually a healthy home chefing service and I'm going to have her on really to talk more about holidays and holiday party planning, cooking, healthy cooking recipes, that type of thing. So stay tuned over the next couple of weeks. I've got some really great stuff coming up for you. But let's get down to it. So we've prepped and we planned. We know what our meals need to look like for next week. So what I want to give you is a very simple, basic guideline for what a healthy nutritional approach to a meal would be. For me personally, this is a much easier template to follow than some type of a specific diet, right? I don't find that specific diets, vegan, vegetarian, ketogenic, you name it, they all can be used in, different settings, depending on a person's different needs. But I still think that we need to have a blueprint or a guideline that we can use to make each meal very simple. And I have developed a guideline that I've used for a number of years. I call it the salad plate scenario. I think the number one issue many of us have, especially in our culture, with our nutrition is that we tend to overeat, and that is really damaging to the body and the management of blood sugar. It's very much promoted in our culture to overeat when you just look at the portion sizes served in many restaurants. And so really, by eating your meals on a salad plate, you are automatically controlling your portion size. If you're eating out in a restaurant, I think it's a good habit to get into to ask for a to-go container at the beginning of the meal and literally cut that meal in half. 50% of it goes in your to-go container, and you're eating as if you were eating on a salad plate. So number one is think about your meal in terms of what would fit on a salad plate type of serving. Now, of course, if you're a very big person or you're very active, you may need more calories, so you certainly can eat on a little bit larger plate. But for those of us that are, wanting to either maintain our weight, lose weight, get ourselves into a healthy nutritional balance, generally speaking, eating smaller amounts of food is better for us. And so the salad plate gives you a guideline. And then what goes on that salad plate is just as important. And that's going to be basically, there are three macronutrients that we think about in nutrition: protein, your fats, and your carbohydrates. So when I think about my salad plate, I want to talk first about your carbohydrates, which is going to be 2 big handfuls of vegetables. So that's your measurement, just 2 scoops, 2 handfuls of vegetables. Could be salad, could be, the body likes variety. So a variety of vegetables, you can cook them any way you want, steam them, saute them, roast them. But the bottom line is about 50% of your plate, or 2 handfuls, is your carbohydrates, and they're coming from the vegetables that you're going to eat. 1 palmful, so my palm is the size for me of the amount of protein that I would need in a meal, roughly 25 to 30 grams. Your palm would be your size, but essentially that takes up another little bit more than a quarter of the plate of a salad plate. So 2 handfuls of veggies, 1 palmful of protein of your choice, could be chicken, could be fish. If you are vegan or vegetarian, this is how many lentils or beans you get, right? It's not a whole plate full. It's a palmful. And this will help you manage the biggest issue that we see in those types of diets is hard to control blood sugar because we're eating too many high carbohydrate / protein foods. So a palmful of your protein, that leaves a little bitty sliver on your salad plate for anything else that you think you're going to eat at that meal, like a sweet potato or rice or some other type of grain. I had one gentleman come up to me at a conference after I talked about my salad plate scenario, and he said, I saved my little sliver for my cake that I was eating after. Whatever it is for you, it's 6 bites. It's literally 6 bites. And then your good fats, your other macronutrient, you use liberally throughout the process of the preparation of the meal and the dressing of the meal. So it could be something like olive oil that you're going to put on your salad, avocado in the salad, avocado oil to saute your vegetables, grass-fed butter, whatever it is that you're using in the preparation of the meal that you're eating, that would be your good fats. So they don't actually take up a spot on the plate. They're kind of integrated throughout the meal. So essentially what we're eating is moderately low carbohydrate, getting it mostly from our vegetables. We're eating moderate amounts of protein and moderately high amounts of good fat, which gives us a very balanced macronutrient, controlled portion meal, right? So the foods that you put in, the types of vegetables, the types of proteins, the types of fats you use, that really is kind of at your discretion. And then the 6 bites of whatever it is that you're going to consume, whether it's a potato or rice or a couple of French fries or whatever, as long as it's 6 bites, it is not going to derail your nutritional approach. So I want you to use this guideline for your 3 meals each day, right? And you can kind of use this principle also if you're doing, I have a lot of people say, well, I do a protein shake in the morning for breakfast. Well, you still need to have all of those macronutrients. So if you're just doing a protein with nothing else in it, where's your fats and where are the nutrients that you should be getting from your veggies, right? And it's not from the fruit. I mean, my recommendation to all of you about fruit is limit your fruit choices to probably no more than 1 fruit. Maybe you split it up between snacks during the day, or maybe even, a few times a week you eat fruit, but that you do not load up on fruit during the day. It's a lot of sugar. It makes it very difficult to manage blood sugar control. What we really want is a significant number of vegetables. So if we're getting 2 handfuls at each meal, that's probably going to be, upwards of 6 to, 8 to 10 cups of vegetables a day. You're going to be getting, probably about 90-ish grams of protein. For those of you that need more, you can put a little bit bigger size on your plate. And probably, depending on the fats, you use somewhere around maybe 50, 60 grams of fats, somewhere in that neighborhood. Is kind of what your layout would look like, regardless of whether you're throwing all that in a blender and making a shake, or you're eating that as a distinctly separate meal. Now, most of us, if we're eating that way, won't necessarily need to snack in between, but there are some of us that are really active. Maybe we're athletes, or we're young growing kids, or maybe you just simply have days where you're hungry in between your meal. Then your in-between meal snacks would usually be a protein and a fat together, like say a nut butter is a protein and fat, or you could use like maybe a slice of uncured deli meat and some hard cheese or avocado wrapped around it. So there's lots of ideas. Coach Crystal, as well as Rebecca from Whole Health Every Day, that I'm going to interview next week, will have some ideas for you specifically about how to get creative with your food. But right now, I just want you to integrate this to-do list in terms of how to approach a meal. So if you remember the words salad, plate, scenario, and you eat your meals on that type of setting each night. I don't use regular dinner plates in my house anymore. I use a salad plate. It automatically keeps me true to my portion decisions, right? I can't only fit 6 bites of potato or 6 bites of rice on my plate if I have a palm full of protein and 2 big handfuls of veggies on there. So this is the nutritional approach that I use in my practice. I use it personally. I find it to be a balanced approach to nutrition, not leaning too much in any one direction. It's not super high in fat. It's not super low in carbs. It's not overly abundant in protein. It seems to be just about the right amount for the average of us out there. You would be the best judge of whether or not you need a little bit more in each area, depending on what you do. So I hope that you find this guideline useful. Please reach out to me. I can give you a hard copy, a picture of this that actually has lists of foods underneath to make, you can use it as a shopping list. I'm happy to provide that for anybody who's interested. You can reach out to me through the email or through the website, thehealingsanctuaryoc.com, or pam@level10health.com. You guys have been listening to me for a while, so you kind of know how to reach me. Let me know if you want the hard copy, but otherwise, if you just think salad plate, 2 handfuls of veggies, 1 palm full of protein, liberally use your good fats, and anything else you think you're going to consume, 6 bites, and maybe a snack or two during the day if you really feel that's necessary. This will put you on a really good nutritional path. Stay tuned for the next couple weeks while I interview some experts that can kind of round this out and give you some ideas. And I'll look forward to being with you guys all again next week. Take care, everyone. Have a great week.